What's going on? It's Jamar here, Vegas Scents. I've been wanting to do this video for quite a long time. Just recently was able to get my hands on a bottle of Tom Ford's Ombre leather. And what I'm going to be doing in this video is I'm going to be comparing Tom Ford's Ombre leather to Scentual Obsessions version of Ombre leather. So Ombre leather pretty much is a more wearable, sort of, toned down, I guess you could say, version of Tom Ford's Tuscan leather. But I mean, after smelling Tuscan leather recently, it smells a lot like Ombre leather from what I could smell. I didn't really notice too many differences between the two. Maybe I would have to do like a side-by-side comparison to really be able to see like what the actual differences were. But in terms of like overall smell, they smell really similar. The only difference is the Tom Ford Tuscan leather is like, for a 50 mil, it's like $250, I believe. And this is also a 50 mil. And this is, I pay like $95 for it. So definitely a huge difference in price. Now, when it comes to the Scentual Obsessions, this is a 60 ml bottle and this is only $30. So, even more of a price difference there. So just to sort of go over the notes here for Tom Ford's Ombre leather, it is pretty simple. In the top note, you have cardamom, and then in the mid you have jasmine sambac and leather, and then in the base notes you have patchouli, amber, and moss. So again, a fairly simple scent. Pretty much what you mainly get from this scent is just pretty much leather, I would say. At least with the actual Tom Ford Ombre leather. This definitely, when you first spray it on, it smells like, somebody just threw like a leather jacket in your face, like a fresh leather jacket that's just came from the store, hasn't been worn or anything like that. That's basically what it smells like. Now, as this starts to dry down, which I've got both of them on the back of my hand here. And this one is the actual Tom Ford Ombre leather. This one is the Scentual Obsessions. The main thing that I notice is the Tom Ford Ombre leather. It definitely smells like a more natural leather. So this smells like actual leather, authentic leather. Whereas the Scentual Obsessions version, it definitely smells, I would say, at least about 90% close to Tom Ford Ombre leather, maybe even a little bit more. The only difference though is I would say that the leather note in this, while it smells like leather, it definitely smells a lot more synthetic, and it doesn't smell as natural of a leather as the Tom Ford. But again, this is a $30 fragrance that actually has more juice in the bottle, and this is a $95 fragrance with about 10 mils less. So, obviously with that price difference, you would expect there to be a difference in quality or a difference in smell. So these have been drying down pretty much on my skin, I would say, for about, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So they're definitely, they've dried down at this point. And the Tom Ford, at this point, it definitely, it smells a little bit less leathery, I guess you could say. It still smells like leather, but to my nose, I would say I'm starting to get a little bit more of the patchouli. Patchouli kind of mixed with some of the amber, I would say. And with the Scentual Obsessions version, again, the Scentual Obsessions version never really had that super authentic leather smell. But I would say the main thing that the Scentual Obsessions version seems to be just ever so slightly heavier on is the patchouli. So, you know, again, it still smells like leather. So I want to emphasize that as much as I possibly can, but it doesn't smell as natural of a leather as the actual Tom Ford. Now, for me, that's actually not a bad thing. I actually prefer the scent of the Scentual Obsessions ombre leather to the Tom Ford ombre leather. I can see how a scent like Tuscan leather can be sort of like a daring scent where everybody might not like that particular scent. Because, you know, again, it does smell like, you know, a brand new like leather jacket or purse, or like a leather seat inside of a luxury car. Like, that's what it smells like. It smells like leather. But, you know, at the end of the day, because I own both of these, I don't think that it makes sense for me to own both of these. And because this one is only $30 and it smells like 90% close, I actually am planning on selling this one, to be honest with you. You know, I can probably get a decent amount of money for this one and just go and buy some other fragrances with it, which, you know, I'm totally okay with. But yeah, this one, the Scentual Obsessions, I would say as these both start to dry down, they start to get closer and closer. And the sense of this smelling more synthetic than this, that starts to fade away as these start to dry down. As these start to dry down, they're starting to smell more and more identical. And I would say the Scentual Obsessions version is, the whole entire time, has been the stronger scent of the two. So this one definitely, I would say, has a bit more projection than what the ombre leather does. Now, the ombre leather there's no slouch at all when it comes to that, you know, as far as the projection goes. But the Scentual Obsessions, for sure, is definitely the stronger of the two. All right. So I would say if you do not own ombre leather and, you know, you're interested in that particular scent, or maybe you've smelled ombre leather, maybe you've like sampled it at a store, or you've had a decant of it and you're thinking about, you know, pulling the trigger and spending, you know, either $95 for this 50 ml bottle, or I think the 100 ml bottle goes for like $130. I would highly suggest that, you know, maybe if you don't want to get a full, you know, 60 ml bottle of the Scentual Obsessions, I would highly suggest at least going to the ScentualObsessionsPerfume.com website and at least just trying a decant of it. And I really, really think that you'll be, you know, genuinely surprised at how good this one smells compared to, you know, the Tom Ford. Now, I had received a sample of the Scentual Obsessions ombre leather way back, you know, in the past, a few months ago, I would say, and the opening on it was definitely a lot more harsh and a lot more synthetic. But like I mentioned in the previous video, there have been some changes made to all of the Scentual Obsessions, you know, fragrances that have improved them a lot. And I would definitely say that the smell of this compared to the sample that I was sent, you know, months ago, is definitely better. And this can only get better with time because, you know, again, with houses like Scentual Obsessions or Alexandria fragrances, I'm sure this is probably the same with like Dua. The fragrances do sort of change as they mature, you know, over time. So this is only going to get better. And, you know, possibly this might end up becoming more natural smelling as it starts to progress. Honestly, I don't think that the smell of this is going to change that much, but you know, it could absolutely. So that's definitely my final verdict. I mean, at this point, it's been probably over a half an hour now, and these honestly, they smell pretty much identical. Yeah, I really can't tell the difference between the two. So I would say the main difference between these are pretty much in the opening, and after that, once it hits the dry down, these are pretty much spot on, okay? So again, go and check this one out. ScentualObsessionsPerfume.com. Ombre leather, this one is a must-have, all right? So that's Jamar here, Vegas Scents. I'll see you on the next video.